I've been doing a lot of drawing on paper, ordinary printing paper. Let's have a quick look. You'll see that some of the lines are not straight, but we'll deal with that when we get there. And then we've got the plants in the foreground, so we will have to create separate models for those as well. So let's use this. I just want to enhance this one a little bit. So let's use the curves and push it up brighter and bring down the blacks a little bit. Okay, there's a different method, so let's delete that. Let's use levels, then select the white color picker and select a white. And then zoom into a spot where there's mostly black or the darkest area. So let's use that and then double tap and let's make that the black. Okay, you'll see that the white turns grayish again. So double tap again and select your white and color pick the white again. Pick a spot where it's darkish. Let's pick that spot. There we go. So it's mostly black and white now. Okay, let's export that. Files, save as, PNG. You can save it as a JPEG as well. Let's call it house for ISO projection. Okay. Maybe we can clean up some of these. Let's flatten that, and then I'm just going to clean up this a little bit. So let's clean that up. Oops, brush. So just, okay, we're not going to use that, so we're not going to be concerned about anything outside of the drawing. But we want to make sure that it's clean on the inside. Right, that's good. Let's save that again. PNG. And yes, we want to replace that one. Right. So we need to start off with a drawing. I'll make another tutorial on how to draw isometric on paper, but it's dead basic. If you've got an ISO grid, it's an easy task to do. All right, so let's jump over to Blender. We need to remember, because we've been doing it freehand, there will be errors in the drawing that will show up. But for now, let's set up Blender first. So select the camera, go to the camera settings, change the perspective to orthographic, change the, let's quickly see, let's go into camera mode by pressing 0 on the keyboard. And you'll see that it's isometric. We want to change the angles. So we need to change that to 60 degrees. And that to 45 degrees. We should, so basically 1 down and 2 blocks across dimension. We can test that to do a screenshot. I'm just going to do a screenshot of this grid here. Go back to Photoshop. Create a new Photoshop, Control V, paste that in. Oh, there we go. Then draw a square. Square. Let's draw a square there till it reaches that, and then do a solid fill. We're gonna make it red. Pull it over. and make that green like that. So we want this. Let's merge that and make it transparent. So the whole idea with Blender setup, let's quickly go back to Blender. Blender. Oh boy. Looks like Blender has crashed. No, it didn't. So the whole idea is we want this isometric grid to be 1 by 2 across. So that when we import our isometric drawing, that it fills that 1 by 2 ratio. So here you can see that our ratio is 1 by 2 squares across. So that will work once we import our drawing into the scene. So let's do that. Shift S and cursor to origin of the world. Shift A, import. So let's import our image. Shift A, import image as background. And let's select that. We want to figure out what maybe we could rather do this. Select the camera, background image, add image, open image, and select your isometric drawing. Now you'll see that the image is a little bit skewed, so we want to figure out what the ratio of that image is. So let's go to image, let's open that image and press N on the keyboard, and let's have a look at the image. The image is 3507 by 2550. So let's set the camera to 3507 by 2550. And now the aspect ratio should be correct. Right, so now we can start modeling our little house. So let's do this, activate that, and then to make sure that we don't select anything else, just deactivate the selection arrow. Create a new layer, and let's call that model, or let's say house. Then let's change the opacity of this image, this drawing, to 0.25. That's it. All right, and then just deselect that again. Make sure you select the house layer again, or the house collection. Shift A to add a cube. Press Tab, G, Z, 1, and move it up by 1 unit. So if you look at the front view mode, you'll see that the cube is at the bottom. Its bottom is on the X axis. All right, let's change this to wireframe mode. So okay, so that's the center point. So let's scale it on the y-axis till it touches the front of the house here. Let's pull it across till it almost is in the middle of the front of the house. So basically there. Scale on the x-axis to make the house fit within that, or that cube. Right. Let's go into edit mode. All right, let's first apply. You'll see that we've made changes to the cube and it's not a 1:1 scale. So apply the scale by pressing Control A, scale and rotation. Press N on the keyboard again to hide this item here. So let's pull that in again, and you'll see what we're aiming for is that line there, so that we can extrude this to the front. Let's pull the house down, the top of the house down till about there. And then Control R to create a new loop cut. Bring it up to that corner. Then select the front of that front face. Extrude it until it reaches that corner there. Now we can select the back two faces again. Let's make sure we've selected the back two faces and pull that backwards until it lines up with that part of the house. Okay. So you can see that we've got that same shape of the house that we're aiming for. Go into edit mode, Control R to make a loop cut, and then select those two edges and pull it up to make the roof. All right, so you'll see that you will have to tweak stuff. You will have to make stuff work within the 3D, and it's actually going to ruin the whole shape. It's going to, how can I put it differently? It's not going to be perfect when you view it in 3D. There will be distortions because your drawing is not perfect. But the 3D will be perfect. All right, let's pull that down till about there, to about there. Let's pull that down because we want to add the roof on top of that. And we've got a bit of a wall section in here. So let's pull this up a little bit more. Let's do a loop cut. Scale on Z and make it 0, pull it up a little bit, and then let's select that front face there and extrude it to the front. Okay, so we might need to stop about there, and then we're going to double tap G and pull that edge down. Right, let's leave it like that for now. Okay, so the next step is to cut loops for the doors and the windows. So let's cut a new loop here for the door and the windows. Pull it up till it nearly fit, till it nearly get it as close as possible to that loop in the door. Cut another loop in here, pull it to the side so it fits the door frame, and the same here. It up, and you'll see we will need to make this skew again. So go into vertex mode and pull that a little bit towards on the x-axis towards that side, and do the same here. And we might need to pull this one in here. Control R to cut another loop. So we want another loop in here. Let's pull that up there. Cut another loop, bring it down for the bottom of the window, and then another loop in here for the side of the window. Pull that in a little bit, push that one further, and let's make sure this one fits as well. Right, now we can select those two faces and extrude it inward, and we will need to select that edge there and then just pull it in a little bit. We might need to cut another loop there, or let's select that vertex and push it in a little bit. We will need to push both of those vertices in. Okay, let's scale it a little bit. Right, let's do the same for the window. Extrude it inward like that. Select that vertex, push it a little bit further inward. Same for that. And we will need to push those vertices in as well. Okay, so currently we're looking at we are currently here with the whole setup. Right, so the next we need to do is this side. So let's cut another loop in here, Control R, and pull it this way. Control R, another loop in here. And the same for the door. That window there. And we will need to, right, let's have a look. We will need to pull that down. So let's pull that down. I'm going to pull that vertex down. And the same for that vertex. Up for that one. Okay, so that window is hidden by the overhang of the roof, so we won't be too concerned about that. So let's select the door and windows, extrude and pull it in. We will need to push the door in a little bit further, and we will need to pull that up. Okay, so that we will need to extrude that up. So extrude that up. Pull that little step there and push that down a little bit. Okay. The same with that front ledge, let's pull it down a little bit. And now I think we're done with that part of the house, that windows and doors. Let's cut another loop in here. We want to cut a middle loop because we want to pull this up. Let's select that. Okay, let's select, we want to select that and pull that up. So let's push that down a little bit. And we want to push this down as well. Let's make that lower as well. We're going to put the roof on top of this. And what do we have here? See, let's select those vertices and push those down as well. Okay. I think that that should be sufficient. All right, let's pull that up and that up, so that it needs to follow the line there. And that's following the line. Pull that up, and you can pull this up as well. Right. Let's duplicate that. Shift D, extrude on the Z. Oops. Extrude, put it on the Z, and pull it back. Extrude to the front, and you'll see that that doesn't fit, so move it around until it fits. Put it down. So just fiddle with the vertices until it fits the model. It doesn't need to look perfect there. It needs to look perfect from this angle. It needs to fit all of the lines perfectly, but it doesn't need to be perfect in 3D. As long as it's got the shape, it should work. Right, let's pull this down to about there. Let's pull this down to about there, and we'll need to cut another loop in there, cut another loop. Then select the faces, extrude inward, and then just need to make sure that the vertices or the lines follow the lines of the drawing. So far so good. Now we need to do the roof. So select that vertex and the furthest vertex, Shift D and press F to make a face. Alright, let's do it this way. Let's go into front view mode. Extrude upward to the top of the roof. Extrude it downwards to that part. Actually bring it down all the way. Yeah, that should be fine. Right, let's select the top part and bring it down. Okay, now it needs to go down, and we want to scale it on the y-axis. So we want to select the whole roof, scale it on the y until it gives us that overlap of the roof. Pull it up a little bit, and then let's see if we move it back a bit. No, let's move it forward. Let's move it this way and up. Okay, we're going to make it a little bit messy, so no, as long as it doesn't cut. So if you look at this side, we need to lift it up from the house so that it casts a shadow on the house. We actually, let's put it a little bit back, like so. Let's push it down, and we need to make that fit in there now. Let's move it forward, back a bit. And then this we need to bring in and up a bit, in and up a bit. Don't worry, it will work. We just need to make sure that it fits this part of the house. So we need to imagine this transparency. You see it goes down, and we follow that edge, so it also needs to go down, and then the same happens here. And so this part of the roof is fine. All right, so select the whole roof again by pressing, if you hover your mouse over a vertex and press L, it will select that whole part of the mesh. Let's extrude this on the Z axis. Right, we need to fiddle with that vertex there. Both of them actually. Push it down, scale it up a little bit, bring it in, push it up. I think that should be fine. Then we need to fiddle with that one as well. Bring it in. Okay, I think that should be fine. And then that part of the house. All right, so we want these two vertices to line up with this part of the roof. But before we get there, pull that one up. Pull that one up. And then I'm going to grab the green block. We want to move it on the y-axis, or we want to lock it on the y-axis. So it's only moving on the z and the x-axis. Right, scale it up a little bit. And let's move it down. Bring it in, no, bring it in there, z. Until we scale it. Right, I think that should be fine. So we've got the overhang. This will cast a shadow on our house, and you'll see that this part of the house is a mess. So don't worry about that. It's because when you draw freehand, things go skew. So that's the whole premise of drawing freehand, is that it's never going to be perfect. So let's pull that forward until it lines up with that corner there. So this back part of the house, I'll pull that up to there and up there. All right, so now we want to make space for this part of the roof. I'm going to make a separate mesh for that. I don't want to struggle trying to cut loops in here, so we'll make it part of this again, but let's try and get the shape first. So so what we want to do now is we want to delete those faces. So let's select the whole roof again, or let's do it this way. Select that face, the front face, and the bottom. Delete faces only. And now we want to, let's do it another way. Control R, cut a loop in there, and let's select that and pull it up. Okay, there we go. There we go. Easy peasy. All right, so this loop is important to cut it this way, and then another loop to cut it in half. And now we need to cut a loop in here. So select that vertex and that vertex, press J on the keyboard, and the same there, and press J on the keyboard. And let's select the whole roof, Control Shift H, and we want to select that vertex and J, and the same with that vertex and vertex, press J. Alt H to unhide, and now we've got that pitch in there. Okay, and then we need to model the veranda. So let's select those two vertices, Shift D, press F on the keyboard, extrude and pull it forward, and then select the whole mesh again and extrude downward. Okay. And the plants hide all of this, so, but I'm going to pull that down a little bit because there's a bit of an open space. I'm going to pull that down as well. And then we need to add the pillar in here. So select that vertex, Shift D, and then by hovering on the blue block, the blue square, pull that until it goes to the pillar. It's not, let's have a look. Is it on the same level as the veranda? No, it's not. Okay, let's pull it up. Okay. Go into camera view mode. Okay, we'll need to fix that. Let's pull that in all the way and bring it in a little bit like so. Extrude and then pull it back. Select that whole edge, extrude and pull it back. Select it, extrude, pull it up. And now we need to create that. It's almost circular. Control, cut a loop in there. Scale on the Y. Cut a loop in there, scale on the X, then select the top faces, press I on the keyboard to inset it a little bit, bring it so that it fits that line there. Okay, we might need to move that back edge a little bit backwards. select those faces again, extrude on Z, and we need to make sure that it follows the line. It mustn't go through the roof, so let's make sure it doesn't go through the roof. Let's select that edge there and move it. Okay, you'll see if you grab the blue block, it locks it on the Z axis. So it only moves it in the Y and the X axis. If you move it on the red, it only moves it in the other two axes. So if you grab the red, it only moves it in the green and blue axis, and if you grab the blue, it only moves it in X and the Y axis. Right, so that, let's grab that vertex, pull it in a little bit, and because the pillar is all wonky, we'll need to cut a few loops in here as well. So let's cut a loop in there, cut a loop in here, and then let's pull that one in, cut a loop here, and push that one out, bring this one forward. Something like that. All right. Right, we need to do the same with the roof, so that the vertices is fine there, but we've got a line that's a bit wonky there. Let's pull that one in there. Right, so we need to cut, let's cut 5 loops in here. Pull that one up, pull that one up, pull that one up a little bit. So try to make this line follow your drawing. Okay, that's fine. And we might need to do the same in here. Pull it down, pull that down. All right, control. Okay, we need a few loop cuts in here as well. Let's make that 6. Let's pull that one up, that one down, down. That one down a little bit, that one up a little bit, that one up as well. Okay, and then this one here as well. Let's make that 4 loop cuts. Bring that up, up, up. Bring that one down. So it's just fiddling until your drawing, your mesh, follows your drawing as closely as possible. I'm just going to bring that one down. And bring these up. Let's bring that one up and that way. And then let's cut another loop in here. That should be fine. So let's look at the house from this angle, and you'll see that the house is wonky. It needs to look perfect from this side. It needs to look okay-ish from here. So let's pull that pillar up a little bit. And let's make sure that it still follows the lines. Okay, that's fine. All right, all seems well. The only thing is I want this part of the roof to cast a bit of a shadow on the front of that, on this side. So I'm just going to pull it forward and manipulate it by, instead of, now I don't want to use the y-axis, the x-axis to move it. I only want to move it on the z and the y-axis. So I'm gonna use the red block so it won't move it in the red direction. To put it in there, I'm just gonna push it in a little bit. Okay, and you'll see that we've got a bit of an issue now with this part. So it's gonna mess up this area here. So select that line and do the same. Pull it slightly forward. And then on the, use the red square to put it back into place. So, and although this looks wrong, it's going to work. Let's select that vertex and make sure that it follows that line. Let's pull that line in a little bit more towards there. And that should be fine. Let's go into top view mode, exit edit mode, and let's activate that again, and let's see what it looks like when we use the light. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to select the house, press W and shade smooth. So it's going to make the house look wrong this way, but what we want to avoid is we want to we want to get rid of that sort of effect. So what we also can do is say shade auto smooth, and then go to normals here. So this, if you go to here, you'll see that auto smooth is activated, and that our angles are at 30 degrees. So we can up that a little bit, like 50, or you can make it even as close as possible to 100. But then you will need to go in and cut, you will need to mark sharp edges. So to save yourself that effort, just keep it at 30. But if you see that, like for instance here with the pillar, you still got sharp edges, just push it up until it's smoother. Let's push it up. Let's see what happens. Okay, I think at 60, let's make it 65, and that should be fine. It looks like 65 gives us a good mesh, but we want the knock, that pitch of the roof to be sharp. So let's select that loop by pressing Alt and then clicking on that loop. So you can select the whole loop by pressing Alt and selecting that loop, Control E and mark sharp. Now we've got that sharpness of the roof back again. So select UV editing, and because you've brought in your picture through the camera, your drawing through the camera, your image should be in here. If you don't see your image in the UVs, if you go to UV editor, click there and select your drawing. from this list. Okay. Then select your house again, press A until you've selected the whole house. So if nothing is selected or only one thing is selected, press A on the keyboard until everything is selected. Then we want to unwrap, so press U on the keyboard and project from view. Okay, let's have a quick look. Why is our image missing? There we go. Right, so our UVs, the projected UVs from here, should now fill our drawing perfectly, like we had it in the viewport here. Right, so open another window, a new window. Select your shader editor and give this house a new shader or material. So let's call this house projected house. Press Ctrl T on the keyboard if you've enabled Node Wrangler. To enable this, go to Preferences, type in Wrangler, and it should be activated. It comes with Blender, but I think by now everybody should know that. And then in your image texture, select the material. So there's your house in the 3D viewport, but you'll see that let's quickly select the camera, let's put off background images, that the plants that is also now projected on your building. to prevent that, when you do your drawing in the beginning, it might be essential to plan out things like plants and that sort of thing, and then do your drawing without the plants and do plant assets in a different, like we did the house, but you'll do that for each plant, and then you can incorporate the plants without having that projected on the house. I'll demonstrate one plant how I go about modeling a plant to fit the drawing, but it's going to be a long and tedious process to do it with all of the plants in this scene. It's better not to have the plants in front of the house. So let's go quickly back. You'll see that there's a bit of an edge, so let's enable the camera, the background image again. We want to just pull that edge up a little bit more. So once you've moved edges around again, you will need to unwrap it. Just unwrap it again. So tab A and unwrap project from view, and now that should be a little bit better. Yeah. What do we see here? All right, the same here. Let's pull that up a little bit, or double G to pull it up. All right. Let's have a look from, all right. Now you'll see that because we've done it this way, the house now casts a shadow, even though it's only a drawing, and it will work the same way in the game engine once we import this into the game engine. We've got a bit of an issue there because this part of the roof is not overhanging this area, so I'm going to manipulate this one. I'm going to pull it up. Let's select both those vertices, pull it as far as possible so that it overhangs there, and pull it down And then let's bring it in a little bit. We might need to bring these in as well. It's just tweaking it a little bit. Okay, once you've done that, same procedure. Select everything and unwrap and project from views so that it works again. I just want to pull that down a little bit. Bring that down, bring it up. If you tap double G, so GG, you can move a vertex along an edge. So I'm just going to move those along an edge and bring it in again. Oh, I feel happy with that. Right, unwrap, project from view, and I think we are done. Right. I'm just going to show you how to model one plant. I'll do a complicated one like that. The others are just blobs. What you could do, select that vertex, select, shift a icosphere, scale, pull it forward. So let's delete the bottom half and select those edges, extrude a little bit, scale it down, scale Z, and then it's just a matter of moving those vertices to follow the plant. Okay, so for basic plants you can do this sort of thing. Select everything, A, and press W, subdivide to create more vertices. Okay. Then select the plant, then select the house, Control L, link materials so that it shares the same material. Shade smooth, and then go into edit mode and press U, project from view. So there we've got that plant with shadows. Also with the same material. From this angle it will look wrong, but from the camera's angle it will always look right. Right, and then select that plant, Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, let's add a cube. Let's go into edit mode, GZ1, enter, so that we scale it on the Z, move it on the Z axis, one up, scale it down, and move it in place. So we want to make sure that it's not in the house or inside the house, that it is in front of the house, not too low. It shouldn't be too low below the house. Bring it up a little bit like that. Right, scale it down again. No. Scale. And remember, we need to apply the scale. Shift A, Control A, rotation scale. You can select everything in the scene by pressing A and then do the same. Control A, apply scale and rotation. Right, and now it's a matter of extruding this to fit the plant. So let's go into, let's select that, extrude it, scale, and let's move it forward. Let's scale that down. Oh, so now it's just the same, but a little bit more intricate, like we did for the house. Okay, duplicate that, turn, move it around, scale it. Okay. I'm just going to quickly do this, and I'll get back. I'll get back to you once I've done this. Okay, it doesn't need to look pretty as long as it looks functional. Just want to pull that towards the center, the same with that one, and we need a few stems in there. Just a few that fits these few leaves that's sticking out like this. Let's see what it looks like if we project that now. Okay. So unwrap, project from view, and we need to make that smooth. And you can use this method to model all of the plants. So let's go into top view mode and select the light. So now the light, that plant should look correct, or should look like it's 3D. If we go into front view mode and bring that down, it will cast shadows on the house as well. The plants will cast shadows, all right. And you can continue with the rest of the plants. I'm going to stick to these two plants just as an example. I'm just going to duplicate them maybe and place them in front of the other plants like this. So I'm just going to fill up. And the nice thing about having the plants like this, because you're looking at it from one direction only, no matter where you place this plant, it will always have the correct projection. So it will look right from whichever angle until you try to turn it around. So don't turn it around, just move it so that it always faces the camera. Okay, so these are not perfect. I suggest, like I suggested before, rather have the house without the plants and then add the plants later on with the same method that we've done modeling the house. Right. I see a bit of an issue with the roof. If you look there, you'll see that there's a bit of an issue. Let's see if we can fix that issue. All right, so it's dipping in there. So let's select that vertex, pull it up. Oh, and we've got, let's pull it, right, and then select that. No, control, let's, okay. And then let's select that edge and that one, the knock part, and control E, mark sharp, and that should solve that issue there. So add up a few loop cuts in there, and or not loop cuts, but a few more edges. Let's show what I've done. I've added an edge there and an edge there, and we could add another edge in there as well by pressing J, and that should solve most of our issues with the roof on that side. And that's how you camera project an asset in Blender. You can go in and make it way more refined. If you start off with a drawing that's more accurate than I've done, you will have less issues like this at the back. But you will never see that if you've got your camera always in a static, well, not in a static, but a perspective view. So your camera will never turn around anything else. It won't go on the back side of this house. It will always stay in an isometric perspective. Then you shouldn't have issues with the back. You will never see the back of this house. So it will never be an issue. So let's add a plane in here, scale it. And oh, we've got a bit of a dip in here. Let's cut the plane. So you might have issues like that. Oh, let's tweak the house, because I think the house is a little bit lower on this veranda area. Let's pull that up like so. And we might need to, oh, that's fine. I'm happy with that. We might need to, right, let's change the plane to another color. And we've got a bit of an issue there, so let's sort that out. Let's select those vertices and the veranda's vertices. And pull that up. Let's see what happens. Yeah, let's pull that up a little bit and towards the side. Right, let's camera project everything again, or the house as let's select everything on the house, project from view. Oops, Something moved. What moved? The camera moved. The camera moved. Right. Let's select the camera, background images, and let's put the camera back where it belongs. Very important to keep the camera in place before you make major changes. So everything needs to be done before you move the camera. Okay, so let's camera project that again. Unwrap, project from view, and now it should be back to where we've started, more or less. Right, so the next step is to take this and export this for a game engine. I'm going to export it now, but we'll touch on how to import this into a game engine like Godot. I'm going to do that as a separate tutorial. So I hope this helped. Now, I've used a black and white drawing. You can apply this to a colored drawing as well. So for instance, I can go back now and I can color this whole drawing in whatever color I want it to be. And then I can apply the same materials. As long as I don't move the camera, so that the materials always stays the same. But let's do that quickly. I'm just going to quickly color this drawing, and so that you can see. Let's J that, multiply. Let's create a just a basic color, like so. Walls, and color the roof, for instance, a reddish color. Right, try. I'm just going to quickly do this. It's not going to be perfect, but it will give you an idea of what we are aiming for. Right, try. Lasso. Yeah. Right, to Right, let's export that and have a quick look. So let's do that with color. All right. Let's jump back into Blender and replace that with a colored version. So you can see now you've got this little house with colors, and obviously you can texture this to your liking. This is very simplistic, almost like a cartoony style, but you can use whatever style you've got in your 2D asset and shade it in whichever way you want to shade it, and then you import it into Blender. So let's use this as an example. I'm just gonna shade this a little bit better. All right. Let's imagine that I want to add a bit of texture and material effects to this. And say for instance we want to add a bit of dirt on the walls. And let's say a bit more dirt on the wall slates, something like that. Shift Control I. You can go wild with your textures and then apply that to your house. So we could go back there and press delete, control. Oh no. Just want to delete wherever I've went over. Right, and then there, delete, control D, okay. Of course, you can shade your shrubs and whatever here as well. I'm just going to quickly do that. I think we picked that one. You don't need to do a lot of shading in your house or your assets, because you're using the light effect within Blender or your 3D 3D engine or your game engine. That's why this method is great for creating 3D assets by using 2D objects, drawing and painting 2D objects, and then importing that into a 3D software like Blender using camera projection, because you don't need to add a lot of shading. Like for instance the shadow of the roof, I'm not adding any shade in there. I'm just creating the illusion of dirt and other textures. The shading happens within Blender, like for instance there as well. With a 2D asset, with a 2D drawing, you would always add a bit of shading next to the door, that inside of the door, the windows. But because the 3D creates that shadows, you don't need to do that in scene. All you want to focus is on textures and making it pretty. Let's change the color of the lines as well. I'm just gonna make it a brown, dark brown color. Let's set that to color and bring that up. Right. Right. let's change that to rather multiply. No. I just want to change. All right, you know what I'm going to do? Delete that. Use saturation. Apply that to that. And change that to color. That, bring it up. Saturation, a brownish color, like so. That's it. So make it lighter even. Okay. So there we've also changed the color of the lines. And let's save that as a PNG, make it version 02. And let's re-import that into Blender. Right, so now we use that texture for our house. So where's our light? Light, 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 light. There we go. And you can see what this effect does for a picture like this. Let's reduce specularity to 0.2, roughness to 0.75, and now we should have less shiny shrubs and bushes. Okay, I hope this makes sense and will make life easier when creating 2D assets and then camera projecting that in a 3D software like Blender. This concludes today's tutorial, and I hope you learned something new today. Thanks for watching.